This is Heart to Heart with Ungal RP. You cannot change your future, but you can change your habits. And surely your habits will change your future. This was told by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Isn't it true? Well, while it is true that we don't know our future, nor do we have a magic wand to change it, we can sculpt our future by effort. We can make the future the way we want it to be if we put in our efforts. But those efforts can't be once in a year or once in a month. They have to be consistent. The efforts have to be so consistent that it becomes our habit, and those habits will change our future. Well, do you agree with this? Come, let's talk more on the topic, the force of habit. Our habits define us and the way we live. The habits are cultivated over a period of time and are usually very strong. A large percent of our daily actions are actually not your actual decisions based out of facts or logic, but mostly out of habit. The morning coffee that you make, the brand of the newspaper that you buy, the time you have your breakfast, or the mid-morning coffee that you have are mostly habits than decisions. It is important to have the right set of habits because most of the habits are cultivated at a very young age, and over the period of time they become stronger and become automatic. Your habits define you, and that becomes your identity. People may refer to you and say, oh, he's habituated doing that, or she's doing that out of habit. So that becomes your identity, and that defines you. For example, I know a boss of my husband who doesn't like to cancel meetings. He made it as a habit not to cancel any meeting, and that became his identity now. You are known by your habits, whether they are good or bad. We sometimes cultivate habits because we want to be part of a group. Like whether it is social smoking or a cup of coffee between your office work or the weekend bike rides. These habits are cultivated because we want to be part of a social group. Well, there is nothing wrong in being part of a social group or in wanting to be part of a social group. But the habits necessarily have to be good, because sometimes this can go negatively. We tend to eat outside food quite often because we want to be part of foodies gang while we actually want to watch out our diet. We might binge watch web series because we want to be part of a social group, while our heart would rather be out cycling. Now sometimes we try to convince ourselves stating that these are short-term acts only because we want to be part of the group. But before you know and before you could realize, it becomes a habit that you can't break. Back in school, did your classmates join to fail? Of course not. Everyone joined because they wanted to come first in class. So the goal was same for everyone. But still, only a few made it to the top 5. Why? It is because of the habit. It is because of the systematic approach that they had towards studies and study. And that made the difference. Same with work. At a certain level in the organization, most of the members would have similar or identical goal sheets. But still, some would perform better than the rest. And that's again because of the habit and the systematic approach that they had towards work. So, it is the habit that takes you towards your goal. ஒரு குட்டி story சொல்றேன். A high-tech company developed a supercomputer with artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, machine learning, and with all the latest technology that enabled you to speak to your future self. This was a program where you had to respond for 20 questions, and basis your response, you would be able to speak to your virtual self online. Now, the selection for this program was done through lots. Vivek, a mid-level engineer, was picked for the same. On the D-Day, Vivek sat before the system and responded to all the 20 questions to the best of his knowledge. The system took a couple of minutes, and then it came back with the virtual persona of Vivek 10 years later from that day. It estimated the future personas, knowledge, skills, assets, health condition, and etc. The future Vivek spoke to the current Vivek the following. Hey, I'm so glad that you started saving early. Even though the savings were small, it has compounded over the period. And I appreciate that you had invested a lot of time and developed those skills and upgraded your knowledge. Now, the future Vivek also started blaming the current Vivek, stating, I blame you for being lethargic at the early part of your career. And I also blame you for the lack of exercises. Vivek actually enjoyed this program, and he was also thankful because this program helped him to understand that what were some of his good habits that actually helped him and what he needed to start immediately to improve further. Now, while you all keep thinking what you want your future self to speak to you and what you need to act on immediately, I'm signing off. This is Ungal RP, Heart to Heart.